Now, as we know, Energy Minister Chris Bowen loves to mock nuclear power, calling it a fantasy, a delusion and a pipe dream. He was out there today again spruiking his energy targets and the fact that, you know, nuclear shouldn't be part of it. But a new survey has been conducted by the New South Wales Minerals Council. It's now found that a majority of voters in Chris Bowen's own seat want the ban on developing a nuclear industry lifted. Stephen Galilee is the New South Wales Minerals Council CEO, joins me now. Does that result surprise you at all?
The strength of the support for nuclear power, for lifting of the ban on nuclear power, and the consistency of that support across the three key federal electorates that we polled just before Christmas did surprise me, Steve. It was very consistent at around 70% across McMahon, Bennelong and Wentworth. And those three MPs have been outspoken against nuclear power, of course, Chris Bowen in particular. So I was a little surprised that it was that strong, but there is certainly a message in that for those MPs and for Minister Bowen in particular that perhaps they're out of step with the voters in their own electorates.
We saw over the break several experts in this field suggesting to us, Stephen, that we better get our act together, because if we wait too long, don't change our policy and don't get into the purchasing of nuclear hardware more quickly, we're going to be left behind by the rest of the world. I mean, the French are developing new nuclear assets. I've just come back from Japan, where they've got their nuclear reactors back up and running after Fukushima. I mean, we are going to be left behind, aren't we?
We just saw at the most recent Global Climate Change Summit, amongst many other announcements, a very important announcement and a commitment from many countries to increase the use of nuclear energy. The International Energy Agency says it's part of the solution. As you mentioned, those countries and dozens of others around the world are moving in this direction. The entire world is moving in this direction, particularly the developed world, and we're not. We're stuck 25 years behind in relation to the ban on nuclear power that was brought in that long ago. And you're right, we're going to lose our chance if we don't get on with this. And if it's not feasible, if it's not suitable, if it is a fantasy, if it is a delusion, if it's not cost competitive with all the other options that are on the table, then why do we need a ban in place to stop it? Surely lifting the ban and having a fair assessment of all the options on the table will sort out what is going to be feasible and what isn't. The ban is an artificial obstruction to a fair assessment of the potential of this particular energy policy option. The ban should be lifted. And if Chris Bowen really believes what he says, he will have no fear. If the Labor Party and the government and those opposed to nuclear power really believe that it's not a feasible option, then there should be no fear from them in relation to lifting the ban and letting that be tested.
I think Bowen's a lost cause, but when you look at your polling, does it show you that the Australian public has an appetite to not only have a debate about this, but to use our assets, which we have, mineral assets, to kick off a nuclear power industry? Do you think the Australian public would vote for that politically?
Well, the polling suggests they certainly have an open mind on it. And when you consider that we also have significant reserves of uranium here in Australia, we're not allowed to mine it in some states, but we can potentially access that. We have the opportunity. I mean, we hear politicians talk all the time about Australia becoming a renewable energy superpower. We have an opportunity here to become a nuclear energy superpower in relation to the supply, the use and the potential storage of nuclear waste in the future. There is a big opportunity for our country. People are open to it, and lifting the ban will enable the conversation to take place in a fair and open way, and it's time the ban was lifted.
Yeah, I reckon we might see that during the next election campaign. Stephen Galilee from the New South Wales Minerals Council, their CEO there, talking nuclear.